Most people chase confidence as if it's something they can earn by fixing every flaw, polishing every weakness, and eliminating every mistake. They think confidence comes from perfection. But perfection is a moving target, one that no one has ever reached. The pursuit of it creates anxiety, not assurance. Confidence, real confidence, is born from a deeper source, the clarity of purpose. When you wake up in the morning and remind yourself of why you're doing what you do, something shifts. The pressure to look perfect, sound perfect, or act perfect fades into the background. Purpose anchors you in something stronger than appearance. It gives you permission to move forward even when you stumble, because your energy is not invested in being flawless, but in being meaningful. Think about the people you admire most. It's rarely because they're perfect. It's because they are clear, driven, and unwavering in their mission. They radiate certainty not because they never fail, but because failure doesn't shake their sense of why. Their purpose is bigger than their ego, and that makes them magnetic. Starting with purpose also quiets the endless noise of comparison. When you operate without clarity, you measure yourself against everyone else's highlight reel. But when you are grounded in your why, the only measurement that matters is whether your actions match your purpose. That alignment builds confidence in a way comparison never can. This is why some people walk into a room without saying a word and still command respect. It's not because they rehearsed every gesture to perfection. It's because their presence is fueled by a clear reason for being there. People can sense it. Confidence built on purpose is not loud, it's steady, and that steadiness is what draws respect. When you anchor in purpose, mistakes stop being evidence of inadequacy and start being lessons. They no longer define your worth, because your worth isn't tied to flawless execution. Instead, mistakes refine your path, strengthen your message, and sharpen your ability to serve your purpose more authentically. This doesn't mean skill and preparation don't matter, they do. But when you place purpose first, you understand that skill is the tool, not the foundation. Purpose is the foundation, skill will evolve, purpose endures. That order is what separates fragile confidence from unshakable confidence. Every day, we are faced with the choice of what to pursue, perfection or purpose. One drains us, the other fuels us. One keeps us stuck in self-doubt, the other moves us into self-trust. The rituals we build around purpose, reflection, clarity, and intention are what transform ordinary moments into unshakable confidence. The way we begin our mornings often sets the rhythm for the entire day. Many of us wake up and immediately reach for our phones, drowning our minds in notifications, emails, and noise. Without realizing it, we've surrendered control of our day before it even starts. But a different choice is available, one where we start the morning not by reacting to the world, but by aligning with ourselves. Imagine beginning each day with just 10 minutes of quiet reflection. 10 minutes doesn't sound like much, but it's long enough to re-center your mind and short enough that anyone can make room for it. Reflection allows you to pause, breathe, and ask what truly matters today. That simple question can cut through chaos and anchor you to your values. Intention setting is the next step. Instead of being pulled in every direction by urgency, you choose where your focus will go. Maybe your intention is to bring patience into a tough meeting, to show kindness in a conversation you've been avoiding, or to dedicate yourself fully to one important task. By naming your intention, you turn random hours into purposeful hours. Journaling is another powerful way to practice alignment. Writing down thoughts, goals, or even worries creates clarity. It takes the swirl of ideas out of your head and makes them tangible. A single line in a journal, "Today I will lead with empathy," becomes a compass you can carry throughout the day. The act of writing transforms vague desires into concrete commitments. What makes this ritual powerful is not its complexity, but its consistency. Doing it every morning conditions your mind to begin with clarity instead of confusion. Over time, it becomes less of a practice and more of a natural rhythm. It's like tuning an instrument before playing. It ensures everything you do that day resonates in harmony with your values. When you skip alignment, you often end up scattered, pulled into things that don't matter, and at the end of the day, you feel drained but unfulfilled. When you take the time to align, the opposite happens. Even if the day is difficult, you move through it with a sense of grounded confidence because your actions were connected to something meaningful. This ritual also builds credibility with others. People can feel the difference when you show up scattered versus when you show up centered. They respect the steadiness that comes from someone who knows their priorities. Confidence grows when you lead yourself first, and daily alignment is the simplest way to lead yourself with integrity. Morning alignment is less about what you do in those 10 minutes, and more about the signal it sends to yourself. I choose to live this day intentionally. That choice, repeated over and over again, becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a foundation for the confidence and respect you carry into every interaction. Confidence doesn't arrive in a single breakthrough moment. It's not something you unlock after achieving one big milestone. True confidence is the result of countless small victories, moments so subtle they're often overlooked. Yet when added together, these micro wins become the foundation of unshakable self-belief. Think about the first step in any meaningful journey. It always feels small, even insignificant. Writing the first page of a book, making the first call in a business, going to the gym for just 10 minutes. None of these steps look impressive on their own, but they are powerful because they break inertia. They prove to you that motion is possible, and possibility fuels confidence. Every time you follow through on a commitment, no matter how small, you send yourself a signal: I can be trusted to do what I say I'll do. That's where self-belief begins, not in achieving perfection, but in building trust with yourself. One small promise kept becomes evidence that you are capable. Over time, that evidence grows into certainty. It's easy to underestimate the compounding effect of these wins. But just as interest in a bank account grows over time, so does confidence when you repeatedly stack small victories. 10 push-ups today may not transform your body, but 100 days of 10 push-ups transforms your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who wishes for change. You see yourself as someone who takes action. These micro wins also prepare you for bigger challenges. Confidence is like a muscle, and each small victory is a repetition. By the time you face a larger test, you already carry the momentum of 100 smaller wins. What felt impossible at the beginning becomes manageable because you've trained your mind to expect progress. What's remarkable is that people around you notice too. They see consistency. They see that you don't just talk about what you want, you follow through in visible ways. Respect grows not because of one grand success, but because of the reliability demonstrated in everyday actions. Micro wins may seem private, but their impact radiates outward. Failure feels different too when you practice this discipline. Instead of being crushing, a setback becomes just one moment in a long chain of progress. You know it doesn't define you because your confidence isn't built on one outcome. It's built on a pattern of victories too strong to be erased by a single misstep. The path to unshakable confidence isn't glamorous. It's built in the small, often invisible choices we make daily. Every time you choose action over hesitation, every time you choose progress over perfection, you're stacking another win. And slowly, without even realizing it, you create a version of yourself that no longer questions if you can. You simply know you can. Respect is not something you can demand, and it is not something you can buy. Respect is built over time through the small and steady actions that people learn to rely on. Grand gestures may catch attention for a moment, but consistency is what makes admiration last. People trust what they see repeatedly, not what they see occasionally. Think of the colleague who always delivers on time, or the friend who always shows up when they say they will. Their reliability earns them a level of respect that no single extraordinary act could replace. It's not about being spectacular once. It's about being dependable always. Respect grows in the soil of consistency. When we chase respect through big, dramatic actions, we may impress others briefly, but the effect quickly fades. People forget the one time you went above and beyond, but they will always remember the pattern of whether you show up or let them down. That memory of reliability, or the lack of it, is what determines how much respect they give you. Consistency is also what builds credibility. Every time your actions align with your words, you strengthen the trust people place in you. Every time you break that alignment, you weaken it. People respect those who are predictable in their values and dependable in their actions because consistency provides safety and certainty in a world full of unpredictability. It doesn't mean perfection. Consistency allows for mistakes, but what matters is how you handle them. If you own up, correct your course, and return to your commitments, people see that your consistency isn't about never failing. It's about always coming back to your word. That resilience is respected even more than a flawless record. In leadership, consistency is the difference between followers who are loyal and those who are skeptical. Teams don't need leaders who perform miracles once in a while. They need leaders who show up with steady clarity day after day. Respect follows those who are predictable in their care, their discipline, and their decisions. The same principle applies to personal relationships. A single grand romantic gesture cannot replace the respect that comes from daily kindness, attentiveness, and reliability. The people closest to us respect us most not for how we dazzle them, but for how consistently we treat them with dignity. Over time, consistency becomes a reputation. People begin to describe you with words like reliable, trustworthy, and dependable. Those are not words given lightly, and they are not earned overnight. They are built slowly through daily disciplines that can be trusted until respect becomes the natural response to who you are. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, listening has become a rare and powerful skill. Most people approach conversations as opportunities to prove themselves, to showcase their knowledge, their wit, or their perspective. But the irony is that respect is built far faster when we choose to listen intentionally, rather than when we try to dominate the room with our words. Listening is not about being silent while waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being present enough to hear what the other person truly means, not just what they say. It requires patience, curiosity, and humility. When someone feels genuinely heard, they walk away with a deeper respect for the one who listened, because so few people offer that gift. Every conversation has two layers: the surface of words and the depth of meaning beneath them. Speaking fills the surface, but listening uncovers the depth. When you ask a thoughtful question, instead of offering a quick answer, you show that you value the other person's perspective. That small shift builds more credibility than any clever statement ever could. This practice also sharpens your own confidence. The more you listen, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more wisely you can contribute when it's time to speak. Confidence rooted in understanding carries more weight than confidence rooted in noise. People respect those who speak with clarity because they can feel the thoughtfulness behind the words. Listening consistently also builds trust. When you prove over time that you will make space for others, people become more open, more honest, and more willing to follow your lead. They respect not just your voice, but your ability to create space for their voices. That trust creates influence, and influence is the highest form of respect. Think about the leaders, mentors, or friends you admire most. Chances are they didn't earn your respect by always talking. They earned it by giving you their full attention, by making you feel like your words mattered. That kind of respect lingers long after the conversation ends because it affirms your worth. This practice doesn't just impact relationships with others, it impacts your relationship with yourself. Intentional listening trains you to slow down, to resist the urge to prove, and to find clarity in observation. It reminds you that respect is not won through volume, but through presence. Day after day, when you practice speaking less and listening more, you create a reputation of steadiness and wisdom. People begin to look to you not because you always have the loudest opinion, but because when you do speak, your words carry weight. Respect naturally follows the one who listens first and speaks second. Confidence isn't only a state of mind, it's a state of body. The way you carry yourself sends messages long before you ever speak a word. Standing tall, breathing deeply, and holding your presence with intention doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself. Body leads mind, and posture is often the first step toward belief. Think about the difference between walking into a room with slouched shoulders versus walking in with an open chest and steady gaze. In one posture, you broadcast doubt before anyone hears your voice. In the other, you communicate assurance without uttering a word. People often decide whether to respect you within seconds of seeing how you hold yourself. Deep intentional breathing is equally powerful. When you breathe shallowly, your body signals stress and your mind follows. When you breathe deeply, your nervous system calms and your thoughts gain clarity. A steady breath grounds you, allowing you to carry yourself with presence instead of panic. It's a ritual that transforms your inner state through physical practice. Posture is not just about appearances, it is about alignment. Standing tall reminds you of your worth. Holding your head high reminds you that you belong. Grounding your feet firmly reminds you that you are steady. Each physical cue shapes the mental narrative you carry into every interaction. This ritual doesn't require an audience. Practicing it alone, before a meeting, in the mirror, or at the start of the day, trains your body to default to confidence. Over time, it becomes less of an act and more of a natural state. You stop trying to look confident and start embodying confidence without effort. Others will notice the shift. People respect those who command space without arrogance, who are present without being overbearing. They feel drawn to the calm energy of someone who knows their worth and communicates it wordlessly. Respect often begins before a conversation does. Posture speaks first. What's powerful about presence is that it doesn't just affect others, it affects decisions, opportunities, and outcomes. When you walk into situations with physical assurance, people treat you differently. Doors open more easily, not because you forced them open, but because your presence convinced others you were ready to step through. Every day offers a chance to practice this ritual. Standing tall while waiting in line, holding eye contact during a conversation, or taking a grounding breath before responding to stress. Each moment trains body and mind to work together. With repetition, posture and presence stop being a performance and become your natural way of moving through the world. Gratitude is one of the simplest yet most overlooked practices for building both confidence and respect. When you pause each day to thank just one person sincerely, you shift the focus from yourself to the impact you have on others. That shift not only strengthens your relationships, it also deepens your sense of worth because you begin to see how connected and supported you truly are. Acknowledgement is more than polite words. It is the act of noticing, of saying, I see you. I value what you did. I appreciate who you are. When you offer that kind of recognition daily, you create a ripple effect. People feel respected by you, and in return, they respect you for the awareness and presence you bring to the relationship. This ritual doesn't need to be grand or dramatic. A quick message of thanks to a colleague, a genuine compliment to a friend, or a thoughtful word to a family member is enough. What matters is that it is consistent and authentic. Over time, those small acknowledgments become part of how people experience you, someone who sees the good and chooses to recognize it. Gratitude also strengthens your own confidence. Each time you thank someone, you remind yourself that you are not walking your path alone. Confidence grows when you realize that you are surrounded by support, and acknowledgement anchors that truth in your daily awareness. You stop seeing success as a solo pursuit and start seeing it as a shared journey. The act of giving gratitude also cultivates humility. It reminds you that respect is not earned by standing above others, but by standing with them. Leaders who acknowledge their teams, parents who acknowledge their children, friends who acknowledge one another. These are the relationships that thrive. Respect flows both ways when gratitude is present. It's easy to underestimate how powerful this daily ritual can be. A single word of thanks may seem small, but repeated daily it creates a reputation. People begin to associate you with appreciation, with someone who doesn't take others for granted. That reputation earns you respect not because you demand it, because you give it first. This practice also builds emotional intelligence. To thank someone daily, you must pay attention. You begin to notice acts of kindness, effort, or contribution that you might otherwise overlook. In noticing more, you become more attuned, more connected, and more respected for the awareness you bring to your interactions. Over time, this ritual becomes part of who you are. Gratitude shifts from being a practice to being your presence. Acknowledgement becomes second nature, and the confidence you gain is no longer about proving your value. It is about living in the awareness of mutual respect, where every person, including you, is seen and valued. At the end of each day, confidence is not measured by how much you achieved, but by how aligned you were with who you want to be. Asking yourself the simple question, did I live today in alignment with who I want to be, creates a daily rhythm of self-honesty. It shifts the focus from results to integrity and from perfection to congruence. This ritual is not about judgment, but about reflection. It is a mirror you hold up to yourself, not to criticize, but to understand. When you recognize the moments you lived true to your values, you strengthen the foundation of your self-belief. And when you notice where you fell short, you gain the chance to realign tomorrow. Confidence grows from knowing that your actions match your intentions. When what you say, what you believe, and what you do are consistent, you walk through the world with quiet assurance. There is no need to prove or pretend because you are already living in truth with yourself. That congruence is what others recognize as authenticity. This check also prevents the slow drift that comes from ignoring your values. Without reflection, it's easy to slip into habits of compromise or shortcuts that feel small in the moment but compound over time. By pausing each evening, you catch misalignments early, before they harden into patterns that erode both confidence and respect. It is also a practice of forgiveness. Integrity doesn't demand perfection, it demands return. If you notice you strayed from the person you want to be, the check gives you space to reset, to decide again, to recommit. That resilience builds more confidence than any illusion of flawless performance ever could. Over time, this nightly practice sharpens your clarity of self. You begin to see patterns in your choices, themes in your behavior, and truths about what matters most to you. With that awareness, your days stop blending into one another, and instead, they begin forming a story of intentional growth. Respect, too, is shaped in these quiet moments. The people around you notice when your life is consistent, when your words and actions align day after day. They may not see the reflection you do each evening, but they feel its effect in the integrity you carry forward. Respect follows those who live in congruence because others can trust them. What makes this ritual powerful is its simplicity. Just one question, asked honestly, can redirect the course of a life. Day by day, the answers accumulate into confidence not rooted in achievements or applause, but in the certainty that you are living in alignment with who you most want to be.